What I'm going to speak about for the next 20 minutes or so is how you can employ mobile devices within your organizations without having to create apps all over the place. One of the biggest issues at the moment is that there's an app outbreak all around the show. We're all thinking about, I want an app for this, I want an app for that. On your PCs, if you want to talk to BHP or if you want to talk to Cathay Pacific, you don't install the Cathay Pacific app to get going with them, or you don't install the BHP app. On your PCs, you just go to their website and you can use a whole load of sophisticated stuff. Why should it be any different in the mobile world? Why should it? We already know that web apps are getting there. They're actually getting really, really clever. There's a few bits missing. I'm going to talk to you about that today, but I'm going to show you how incredibly clever web apps can be and how little expertise you need to bring together all what looks like incredibly difficult stuff. Everybody thinks apps and it's going to take a long time to put together sophisticated stuff. It needn't if you use a platform. So what I'm going to do is talk a bit about mobility platforms. I'm going to spend about 2 or 3 minutes on slides, and then I'm going to do a whole load of demos to show you how a platform can do heavy lifting. So what do I mean by a platform? I mean that when you want to take your corporate assets and give to your users in the field stuff that's going to be useful to them in the field, what you need to do is you need to harness the services that are of use to them down onto their mobile devices quickly, easily, and they need to be relevant. You don't want to take a whole great big application and shoehorn it down onto the little device. What your mobile users need is absolutely intuitive interfaces that allow them to do stuff that makes sense to them in the field. They don't need your whole big PC system necessarily shoehorned down. So what I'm going to show to you today is what we call an interaction-oriented platform. What do I mean by an interaction-oriented platform? What I mean is a whole load of building blocks that allow you to form the interactions that your users need and form them out of a load of services in the internet. Some of those services might be back-end data services, but some of them, because your phones are truly mobile devices, they do more than your PCs. They know about location. They even know how fast you're going. They know all sorts of things that your PC doesn't. You can bring together a whole load of other services that make sense in the field. And so what I'm going to do is show you how you can use a platform to do what we call the heavy lifting. And heavy lifting means, in mobile terms, the stuff like, how do I use my data online and offline? How do I integrate camera? How can I read RFID tags and NFC tags to manage my assets? Those are things that people think of as quite difficult. And we're going to spend a few minutes talking about how we can actually do those sort of things with effectively just a few mouse clicks. So, rather than show you too many slides, I'm going to start by talking about what I mean by focusing on the user. So, my first example is going to be Brisbane Council. Brisbane Council, as you all know, very large local authority up in Queensland, and they already have quite a rich website. You try and use that on your mobile phone, very, very cumbersome. Okay, they realised that there are only a few things that their users in the field really needed, and they decided to focus on them and make them 1 or 2 clicks away. Now, just makes sense. Look, what are the things that matter in Brisbane? Well, the basic things like contacting council, that sort of stuff, what day is the delivery of my rubbish. But other things are things like floods. Floods in Brisbane, as you well know, it flooded badly last year. One of the things that people really are interested in is the property I'm about to rent or is the property I'm about to buy flood affected? So what they've offered is the opportunity to harness their existing flood management system, and you can go and select any street in Brisbane. So I'm going to go into Brisbane City, which we know floods from the pictures. And we're going to read their database in real time, and we know that Eagle Street floods because that's right by the river. And here are all the properties in Eagle Street, and I'm going to go to one of those properties in Eagle Street and go and pick out the flood report for that. And here we have the flood report for 66 Eagle Street. You can imagine that that alone is such a useful thing to have when you're out in the field. Things like property information, DA approvals. Where's my nearest library? I'd like to check out a book. Those are the sorts of things you might want on a mobile. You don't want the whole great big site. So the sense that for your user community, you can harness not just your website, but any other assets that make sense in your environment for your users very, very easily. Now, of course, that doesn't mean you can obviously do this for your end users, but this has a huge application in your mobile field force. And I'll go and take another local authority example again. Let's think of a typical inspector in the field. Now, the one I'm going to use here is of an arborist going out and checking on nuisance trees. If you think about an arborist day, they would normally have gone into the office, perhaps, checked on their day's work. They'd probably then think, well, okay, I'm going to plan my route, and I'm going to work out which trees I'm going to go and visit today. When I get to them, I want to edit those assets. I want to sort of do my inspection, capture all the stuff, take photos, all that kind of gear. And then I want to submit it. I may not be connected, so I want to save it on my phone until I'm there. Other things I might want, well, I might want staff directories, I might want manuals about, if I need to know something about the tree. There's a whole series of things that make sense for an arborist in the field. And so, what you can do is build them up out of all the services that are out there. So, for example, first thing in the morning, I'll do a login, and it's going to ask to see my location. The first thing it's going to do is say, well, here's your weather for the day. So it's logged me in, and what it's also done is it's downloaded a data suitcase of data for the day. All of my inspections that I'm going to do for the day have now been loaded onto my phone. And it's given me the weather for the day. Now, what's the next thing I might that I'll want to do? Well, let's actually go into the inspections. First thing I might want to do is plan my route around all the inspections. And so what it will do is go and we've created an interaction that will allow me to then go down the records in my data suitcase. This is all offline. Go down the records in my data suitcase and plot each of the locations onto Google Maps. So if I go and click on one of these, it's going to tell me the location. If I click on directions, it'll go and then call another service. In this case, the Google route finding service. What we've done here is we've created a set of interactions that just make sense to the end user out of a series of services available on the web. Some of those services are data services. We're collecting all of the information about the inspections I'm going to do from the back-end system. But then we've brought that together with some other location services. We've done a bit of clever stuff. We've gone down through the list of inspections, and we've taken those points and we've plotted them on Google Maps. Next thing, you ask for directions. You're then calling another service. You're calling the direction service, picking those up and bringing them in. Already, we're building up a user-oriented view of life. Now, the interesting thing about this demonstration works on all devices, well, almost all devices, not very dumb phones, but tablets, iPhones, Androids, Blackberries, those sort of things. And most importantly, it works online and offline. So, and the time it took to build this from to go to woe across all these devices was about 3 days of work. So let's carry on this. Let's go back to my inspections and have a look at my downloaded inspections. So I've got a number of downloaded inspections here. I can go and if I want to get the directions to any one of those, you can see that there's a directions tab here. That will call the same interaction that found me the way in the previous interaction, if you will. I'm calling the same one. So let's go and have a look at one of those inspections. So the next thing you'd expect out of a decent platform is the ability to do rich formsy type stuff. and that's what you get. You get a forms package that can do locations, it can do camera, signatures, all those sorts of things. Now, we talk about heavy lifting. We mean integrating things like camera, location, signature, all that kind of stuff. Should be dead easy. It should be one click to say, I want a signature at this point. Okay, and the ability to link in camera, gallery, or all those sorts of things. They should be easy. A platform does that for you. You don't have to have a team of programmers working out how to do all the black magic that makes that happen. To all those programmers here, there's still plenty of other stuff you can do. So when I submit that, first thing you'll see, it goes up into a pending queue. In fact, very quick. We've got a good network connection here. If I was disconnected, it would have held it in the pending queue until I was reconnected, and then off it would go. So we've already got a whole load of things that that could be useful to the arborist. Other things, other parts of the system. I'd like to perhaps search for a staff member. We've used our own directory here, and I happen to have 2 Bens in the firm, so I can go and quickly search a staff directory. All of these things, by the way, are these ones are going out to an outside service and picking up details. Other interactions that would make sense. Well, how about bringing up the tree management manual, so I know what to do in an odd situation. Okay, so what we're doing here is presenting a particular class of user a set of interactions that is really useful for their job. It's not just the back-end system that captures the records. It's far more. It's giving you real useful stuff that makes your job quicker and easier to do. You could be even say greener, because you don't have to go into the office so much. You don't have to carry around reams of paper. You don't have to keep on asking people for stuff, because you have those interactions available to you. And you can build that set of interactions really quite easily. Now, things are getting... Have a quick look here. I have a tendency to ramble on for a long time with all this stuff, because there's a lot of exciting stuff you can do. I want to show you another set of scenarios, and I think this is incredibly exciting. And that is that there's a revolution going on with RFID and NFC. Now, a lot of you think of NFC in terms of your cards and paying for things, and yes, that's an important part of NFC. But all of this stuff, you've seen these when you go into game parks, amusement parks and things, traffic permits. All of you have got these for coffee cards and all that sort of thing. They all have RFID or NFC scanners in them. Chips in them. And matter of interest, we're working with one of Australia's largest RFID and NFC tag producers, and over there on the BlinkMobile stand, RFID and Print can talk to you about how you can use these in all sorts of situations. Now, these are really quite exciting, because nowadays phones like this, simple Galaxy Nexus, and loads of other phones nowadays can read NFC tags. And in fact, if you go over there, you'll see how you can use these to read a whole load of tags and link them into asset systems really quite easily. You can also get wireless Bluetooth paddles and that sort of thing, which again, now, through a platform like ours, can link into your corporate IT system. So what sort of things do we imagine doing with these? Well, I mean, the basics. You can register in this sense. In this particular demo, I'm going to try and read an asset. In fact, I'm going to go and do an inspection on my asset, my Mercedes here. I wish, which I put an asset tag on the bottom of. It's just one of these asset tags here. It's an RFID asset tag. So what I'm going to do, and with a bit of luck, this will work. I'm going to take out of this. I flick a magic switch down here, and I'm going to stick a $17 RFID scanner. But I'm going to stick this into my my iPad. Okay, so with my $17 RFID scanner, I'm going to take my asset and scan it. And what it's going to do is go back to my database, look up my wonderful asset here, my Mercedes, and I can then go and say, okay, let's say where it is. The condition is, of course, replace immediately, and the inspector name is Wade Boggs. So I'm going to put a signature in here. Okay, and I'm going to submit it. Okay, and then you know, in the future, I can go. Well, in fact, I can go through and. Sorry, I should have gone back to assets there. But you can see I can actually go back and use that. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to another one. I'm going to check in an asset in here as well. So again, I can just go to here, scan this, and it's checking in the asset. So what I'm doing here is using. You can imagine these can be used in pretty much any data capture, asset management, patient management, all sorts of different applications. It's really bounded by your imagination. And what we've made easy in the platform is actually getting hold of this information into pretty much any mobile device that can run a scanner. And as I said, the things you can scan with now are coming down and down in price. In the old days, only a few months ago, you were talking about products that were, you know, a few $1,000s to be able to do the whole value chain, the scanning, the going back into the back-end systems, all that kind of stuff. Now we're talking about bringing it down into the very manageable prices to get your field force mobile and managing assets. And so, what I would encourage you to do is, you know, if you're interested in how you can take your existing systems and mobilize them onto pretty much any device with a single application development effort, and I mean very small application development effort, lots of big building blocks, etc. And if you want to work out how you can use technologies like RFID, NFC, cameras, location services, you name it, all the interesting stuff that's making mobile such an exciting place, this is all about demystification. Being able to use this stuff within a few weeks, a few days or a few weeks, not months and months and months of development effort. So do come over and have a chat to us at BlinkMobile. We've got demonstrations of pretty much all that stuff here, and happy to take any questions.